It's a great win for us, and for Coach Josh and his team. They competed so hard, and obviously the game could have gone either way. And, to win on the road is obviously difficult, and we're still trying to figure out who we are as a basketball team, and still trying to implement some things. And I thought our defensive effort was incredible. Obviously, we felt like we had to do a really good defensive job on Michael, which we did, for him to take 16 shots and get 12 points. Jimmy Witt did a great job, and then I thought we shrunk and gave great help defense as well.
When Banks got in foul trouble, did you guys try to go at him and get him out of the game?
Yeah, I thought, for us, it was important for us not to allow his shot blocking ability to affect our dribble drives, and I thought Desi did an incredible job of attacking the rim and trying to get into his body on his dribble drive penetration. Obviously, James is a great basketball player and has an incredible bright future. He keeps getting better and better, and their staff's done a really good job from a player development standpoint with him, but we just didn't want him to get in our heads because he is a great shot blocker.
It seemed like you used your length and aggressiveness early in the game to kind of gum up their passing in terms. Is that something that's normal, or is this something you saw looking at Georgia Tech on tape?
No, we're one of the, we're a high volume steal team, a high volume turn the opponent over. As we watched tape, we felt that there was a lot of teams that when they go high-low, a lot of teams back off of Moses Wright, and we wanted to pressure when they went high-low and not back. We didn't want to back off and sit in the lap of Banks, and I thought the turnovers that that Wright had and some of the turnovers even by Moore were crucial turnovers for us. To go on the road and I thought there was the crowd really came alive late game, but to cause 23 turnovers is I thought our activity defensively was phenomenal.
Obviously, your player made the final shot to win the game. But was that the guy you really wanted to have the ball in his hands, or if you had your druthers, would have been somebody else?
No, the two guys that, and they probably didn't shoot the ball enough at times in regulation, and is Isaiah Joe or Mason. Those are the two guys, and obviously I didn't drop a bank shot, but we'll take it and go home and get on a plane and enjoy the plane ride back.
Edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, and we're going to come in instantly. We had a little tech issues, but I got the best producer in the business, and he got it all right. And we're going to start off. Arkansas had a big, sometimes there's program changing victories, and I think last night may be one of those for Eric Musselman as the Razorbacks get out of Georgia Tech with 62-61 victory in overtime. And we're going to talk to our good buddy of the Associated Press. Yes, I did say the Associated Press. He's moving up in the world. Derek Oxford. D.O., talk to me, baby.
Oh, what's up, man? It's a rainy Tuesday up here in Northwest Arkansas. I'm sure it was a good flight back for the guys last night from Atlanta.
Talk about that game, Derek, and just the season in particular. It's quite obvious. Let's just be as honest as we can be. Eric Musselman was not, so to speak, the sexy hire for all the Razorback fan base when it was announced Hunter was going to go with Coach Muss. Since then, he's hit the ground running, got this great recruiting class, and starting out 6-0. Talk about what you've seen from the day he was hired until this very moment, Derek, in your opinion.
Well, I guess a word I would describe would be relentless. I think he's been relentless in terms of every facet of the program. He's, whether it's recruiting, whether it's, public relations, getting the fans involved, reaching out to the fans, the player development, what he's done with some of the guys that were returning for this year. Like Adriel Bailey is a completely different player as a senior this year than he has been the previous 3 years under the former coaching staff. He is night and day better. You've got guys like, a guy they bring in as a transfer, and Jimmy Witt, who obviously had already played in the program.
Right.
But just what he's done with him in terms of, he played 45 minutes last night, didn't come out, and what he's done in terms of taking the roster that he was handed, and really just kind of making it his own and putting his stamp. I mean, what they've done defensively is remarkable through 6 games. I mean, I know they haven't played 6 elite opponents by any stretch, but what they've done on defense through 6 games has been as impressive as anything anyone's done in the country. And there's going to be nights where your shots don't fall. Obviously, they haven't been shooting the ball very well lately, but eventually the shots are going to start falling. But you can always lean on your defense. You can always play well on the defensive end, and that's where this starts for them. And if they can continue to play defense like that, and with the intensity that they've been playing with, shots are going to fall one night. If there's a night where all their shots are going in, they may beat somebody by 40 or 50 that's really good. I mean, they just like the way they've played defensively, I've been so impressed with. There's really not a whole lot to nitpick or criticize so far. Obviously, the recruiting is top notch. He's got a chance to sign a top 10 class. And it's just I'm very pleased with the direction that it looks like things are going in, and I think that he's a great fit here. I think him and his family fit in very well with the Razorbacks and with Northwest Arkansas. I think it's his passion for the game, his passion for basketball. Joe Klein, went to practice a few weeks ago, and he's like, "That's an NBA practice." Right. That's the kind of and what do kids that are what do elite college high school basketball talents want to hear? They want to go to the next level. Right. Well, what better place to go than go play for a guy that's already coached in the NBA that has put all these players in the NBA? Why would you not want to come be a part of it? So I mean, I that's probably what I've been most impressed with.
The thing I'm starting to notice is Adriel Bailey. In his senior year, I think I'm finding he's playing under more and more control, more so than I've seen him play throughout his career. It just seems like he's more of that leader, off the court and as well as on by just some of the defensive things that he's able to accomplish. I thought, being called upon to guard Banks, the big fella, the big 7-footer for Georgia Tech. I thought he did a yeoman's job. And just talk about the way he's been able to step into his senior year. And, it seems like he's really setting himself up for a good final campaign.
Yeah, it's kind of like what I mentioned earlier. I mean, I've been very it's been pretty phenomenal what they've been able to do with Adriel. Just his – I mean, he, the other night, obviously he's given up, at least 5-6 inches to his man. Right. And he's fronting him every possession. There were at least 2 or 3 possessions where he literally forced him to throw it inside, and he just ripped them all. Right. His effort at the defensive end has been great to watch. He's more comfortable shooting the basketball. He's more comfortable in the offense. He was a guy that had a lot of hype coming out of high school, and then had a rough couple of years with the previous staff, and I think he's just been reinvigorated. Right. With this staff, I think that they've just kind of found his niche, found what he's good at. and then gotten him to excel at it. And he's going to be so important, down the stretch because it's no secret they're not very deep.
Right.
They're not going to play a ton of players, and there's going to be nights where in the SEC where he's going to be, probably the smallest post out there, but he's going to be well served because he's going to play with reckless abandon, and he's going to give it 110% every possession. So he does all the blue collar stuff that you can't really you can't even really coach. And I'm just very it's been pretty amazing to see the transformation of him from being just kind of like a role player,
right,
for the Hogs to being a guy that they count on every night.
One thing that I really noticed in watching last night's ball game is the maturity, and what I mean by that, from year 1 to year 2 of Mason Jones, Isaiah, Desi, and the guys that were in there at the latter part of the games. Because let's face it, Derek, they were in a lot of really tight, 10 to 20 second ball games last year, where games are decided in their one, for their final possession. Last night, it just seemed like as the game wore on, they had more and more composure, kind of gained a little experience from last year. And, how important when you win games like this, can this be for your team going forward for the duration of the season? Because it cannot, sometimes when you have these moments, as we've seen over the years, it's kind of, they went backwards. Could this be something that could springboard them to where you get into conference play, get close games, and with that short bench that we all know they have, kind of draw from games like this?
Well, I think it's huge. I was texting with somebody last night who was like, they were just like all bent out of shape because it was a close game and they hadn't put it away. And I'm like, this is a good thing. They need this. They need to be tested. They need to have their, figure out what they have to do in a close ball game when it's, final possession and you've got to get a basket.
Right.
Obviously you don't want to have to rely on a 35-foot bank shot every time. But, I think they needed that for their, because there's going to be at some point this year, and it may be on the road, it might be at home, but it'll probably be on the road.
Right.
They're going to play an SEC game where they're not going to shoot the ball well. They're not going to, get all the breaks. They're going to get bad calls, and you're going to have to figure out how to fight through that and try to get a win. And so, why not, knock it out early in the non-conference, figure out how to do it, and have that confidence that they can do it, and then this is a big game also in the fact that if, Georgia Tech ends up, doing okay in the ACC, could be a fringe tournament team.
Right.
That's going to be, that's only going to help Arkansas in terms of their resume.
Good.
So they're going to have it was just an all around good night, just from a confidence standpoint and from a standpoint of, we can win a close game. We can win a game where we don't play our best.
Well, Derek, I love having you on, my man. The conversations in basketball, when it starts, we start. So I look forward to having you on next week to get into talking more Must-Bust and Razorback basketball. Congratulations on your new position with the Associated Press. And you have a blessed holiday, Thanksgiving break, and thanks for taking time out on the Hill.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
All right. That was Derek Oxford of the Associated Press. He got a promotion, Demetrius. Derek's just moving on up in the world. You remember last time we talked to him here during basketball season, this time last year, he was with Mascot Media. So, man, we got an AP writer on board now. OTH's moving up, he's moving up, and we're going to continue to move on up as Arkansas continues to move up in the collegiate basketball recruiting rankings. And we're going to talk with our good friend Kevin McPherson, but we caught up with Georgia Tech head basketball coach Josh Pastner. We'll hear what he had to say about last night's very disappointing, if you're a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket, but not so much if you're a Razorback. We'll hear what he has to say, and then Hogville.net's Kevin McPherson, he's up next. Time to talk a little Must-Bust and hoops recruiting. It's all up next. You're listening to On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit.
We know in basketball, sometimes the ball bounces your way and it doesn't. And tonight it didn't bounce our way at the end there. And we guarded it really well and the kid did a prayer. But I thought it was, both teams played their tails off. and played as hard as they could. So as in terms of effort, both teams played at a high level. Unfortunately for us, the turnovers, got us, especially in that first half. I mean, they had 15 points off of our 11 or 12 turnovers that we had the first half, and that was really, the main difference in the game there. And on top of that, we missed some key free throws, had some short shots around the rim that we just couldn't finish, but ball just didn't go in there. We defended it really well there at the end, and we just banked it in.
Were you think your players were surprised by how quick they were on defense?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at their defensive numbers coming in, they were, one of the best defensive teams in the country. We try to simulate it as much as possible with our scout team. I don't think you can really ever simulate another team, just like you can't simulate our zone in the preparation for it. And I think also, it's you're putting a lot of stress on Bubba and Michael DeVoe to handle it without Jose there, and so it's a lot on those guys, because then you're asking them to be at a high level defensively too. And but that's just part of it. That's why the schedule we've got to play is because it is going to test you, and it forces you to get better and allows you to work on things that you can work on to improve, and hopefully we'll continue to improve and get better. And a guy like Bubba Parham who will continue to improve from a game like this.
They seem to be very focused on denials to Banks, and I imagine that's going to be an ongoing theme this year. Kind of how do you defeat that when you don't
Well, we had a couple open three. I mean, you just got to make some threes there. Santi had a couple great looks. We missed some shots around the rim there, but to loosen things up, you're going to need to make a few threes here and there.
Welcome back. It's our Tuesday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio. And real quick, want to give all the love and a big thank you for their gracious sponsorship of our program. Lindsay and Associates, with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall in Fayetteville. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, all residential, commercial, anything you need to look good, contact Corey Beck. And lastly, KDK's Chicken. It's located at 989 South the Razorback Road. Go down, get you a plate of that love. Go down, visit Keith and Kathy. And like they say, it's not your mama's, the best chicken and waffles in the South. But last night, Arkansas men's basketball program under Eric Musselman went on the road for Eric and the Muss Butts' first initial program road game and came away with a 61-60 overtime victory. So we thought we'd talk about that. And then also, too, it was a big weekend over the weekend for the Muss Butts as they got a little better on the recruiting front. We want to talk to our good buddy of Hogville.net, Kevin McPherson. K-Mac, welcome back.
Pat, good to be with you, my friend.
Let's get into it, my man. Big victory last night. I kind of joked with you off the air, Kevin. Arkansas finally put Nolan's name on the floor, hence the curse from all those close game losses. And the basketball guys were smiling on him last night as Mason hit that big shot. Talk about that particular shot and how much of an effect could this have on this basketball team going forward in weeks to come?
Well, that remains to be seen, Pat. But listen, anytime you can get out of the gate 6-0, by the way, Musselman's the first coach at Arkansas to do that since Eugene Lambert in his first season back in 1942.
Oh, wow.
It just shows you how tough it is to continue to win games and then continue to put them together. College basketball is not an easy sport. Even against mid-majors, we know they can jump up and bite you. Arkansas on that 5-0 start, their scoring margin and the way they were winning games, they were in the top 5 in the country in scoring margin. So when you go on the road against another high major opponent, it's your first road game, and you find some way, no matter how ugly it is, to come out with a victory, it can be huge because Arkansas now can use that as a confidence building block. They see that they can take that defense. That defense traveled.
Right.
They were really good defensively. So was Georgia Tech.
Right.
Somebody had to come out a winner. Why not Arkansas? And Mason Jones delivered with that dagger. And I'm telling you, Arkansas, not only playing Northern Kentucky on Saturday, can finish the month of November 7-0. They have a real chance, to get to 11-0 before they play Indiana, or 10-0 before they play Indiana, and then that's right before they really start getting into the conference season. So I think that winning a road game like that was huge.
I want to talk about this core group that came back from Coach Anderson's era. When we're talking about Mason, Desi, Isaiah, Reggie, those, and Jalen, but more so when you look at it, it's the core three of Desi, Isaiah, and Mason, really being the backbone, the foundation from which Musk can build on. Talk about those guys. They logged a lot of heavy minutes, all three of those young men in last night's ball game. Talk about those guys and just how much of an impact that they're going to have on this basketball team, not only for this year but possibly for years to come if two of those guys decide to hang around for next season.
Yeah, well, Isaiah Joe is really he and Mason Jones came in as the two leading scorers last night, both averaging 17.4 points per game before Georgia Tech. And to me, Joe, everybody talks about the three-point shooting, and yes, he's Arkansas's leader in assists. He's added some stuff inside that three-point arc. But what I really noticed with him in and game out is how good he is defensively. And if you look at last night's game, he had 9 defensive rebounds. He led the Razorbacks on that end, rebounding the ball, but all of them coming on the defensive end where you had to have it against one of the nation's top rebounding teams. And then he had 5 steals. And there was one play where he missed a shot on one end. Georgia Tech was getting a run out.
Remember which play you're talking about.
And Zay Joe walks this guy down and from his blind side steals the ball to give. And it looked like Georgia Tech was going to get an easy bucket in transition. Instead, Arkansas regained possession. So Isaiah Joe making plays like that at that end. Desi Seals had his best game of the year. He's been struggling shooting the 3 ball, but I thought he was really crafty. Defensively getting on the glass and making some shots when Arkansas needed them. And, of course, Mason Jones scored Arkansas's final 10 points. They had a stretch where they didn't score a bucket in the last 6 minutes of regulation through that final, basically, second of overtime. Right. But he was able to cobble together some free throws, and, he had their last 10 points on his way to a game-high 24. So, yeah, that backcourt trio, and, of course, Jimmy Witt struggled a little bit, but was great defensively guarding the ACC's leading scorer, Michael DeVoe. So I think, that core group, for that 4-man backcourt is really where it begins and ends for this Arkansas team. And, if they continue to play defense like this, Pat, it could take them a long way.
Talking about taking them a long way, let's move over into the part of the program that you always hope to do well into, where you continue to speak on going a long way. And I mean that by what I mean by that is the Must Bus and the Razorback Roundup. They got on this thing way back from day one when Coach Must was hired. He put this staff together, and for all intents and purposes, Kevin, let's be honest, had to play catch up for most of the young men that they've been able to reel in. They had another one jump in the boat, another in-state prospect, and Jalen Williams, a big 6'9", some say 6'10". I believe he's more along the lines of 6'10", having seen him in person. Talk about that group, and then, how big is this? To have in his first year to be able to come in here and possibly pull off a top 10 class with what you have coming back, what you have sitting out. And let's talk about the future with those 3 guys.
Yeah, I think they're going to add a 4th on Thanksgiving Day, by the way, Kalen KK Robinson. I think he's going to commit to Arkansas for Kansas. We'll see what happens there. But, yeah, if we're just talking about these 3 guys right now, Moses Moody, Jalen Williams, and Devontae Davis, I mean, you're seeing the makings of the kind of – I think they're all fits in what Musselman likes to do. Right. Devontae Davis is a dynamic big point guard. He knows how to set guys up, great court awareness. He's a better slasher than he is a shooter, a lefty. But we see Arkansas, guys like Jimmy Witt, he's not a three-point shooter, and he's getting a lot of work done for Arkansas. Absolutely. Offensively as well as defensively. And you can envision a nice 2-man game between Jalen Williams, who is a skilled big man, with pick and roll, pick and pop. He and Devo playing off each other, and they played together in the spring and summer. There's already some chemistry. And then Moses Moody, what can I say? I mean, he's a top 30 guy, ESPN number 29. He's been a 5-star, just on that borderline of being a 5-star, and may earn that 5th star back. But at 6'6", wing, smooth. He's a plus shooter from 3. He's got the ability now, from what I've seen in the spring and summer, to get it at all 3 levels. He's not a big bouncy leaper, but with a 7-foot-plus wingspan, he's a guy that I really think could fit into the same type of mold that we see Isaiah Joe and Mason Jones providing right now. So, to me, you've dipped into the high school ranks with 3 top 100 guys in state. And you get them on campus, and now they're not guys that all play the same position. They can play on the floor together. It's huge, Pat.
Now let's get off into the future going forward. I mean, I know we've talked about KK Robinson. Probably, for all intents and purposes, will be giving his pledge to the University of Arkansas. But I want to talk about another young man that you and I continue to talk about to see if there's any updates on Kyrie Walker. Got any new updates on the young man and his family and where that situation and at? And if so, also too, if not, are there any other outstanding recruits that maybe they're trying to bring in this 20 class? Is it just if they can get KK, find out what Kyrie's going to do, they'll go ahead and move on into the 21 and 22 classes and beyond?
Yeah, I think that's where it's at right now. I think they're going to, I think, like I said, I think KK's the 6'1" point guard out of Bryant that plays at Oak Hill Academy in Virginia, another top 100 kid. He's home for the holidays. Interviewed him on Saturday. I really think he's going to pick Arkansas over Kansas. They've got 4 scholarships. That would fill the 4th one. And if you're thinking, numbers to numbers. Now, Kyrie Walker's a little bit of a wild card. He's got some work still to do, I think, to complete requirements to be able to play college basketball. But if he does, he's a guy that can enroll at midterm. So that would technically, in theory, let's say KK Robinson commits, that's 4 guys. Let's say you get Kyrie Walker. Well, Arkansas has a scholarship open now. Right. That was vacated when Gabe Osaboyan transferred out. And so Walker, conceivably, if he can get qualified to play college basketball, could come in at the semester here and take that scholarship and see if he wants to move on to pro ball or, how that would shake out later. There's going to be transfers at the end of the year. There always are now. That's just how it is, part of college basketball. So I think the numbers will work out. But I think you're right. It's really KK and Kyrie right now. Now, you asked, are there other guys? I think Arkansas's got their eyes on a few JUCO guys, some frontline guys that they can always continue to kick the tires on and maybe bring in for visits and see about maybe adding them in the spring. But Mussman's got his eye on that transfer portal, and I will bet anything that he'll get at least a couple of players out of that transfer portal come the spring, which tells me if they're getting 4 or 5 guys now and maybe a couple more, that there's going to be more roster turnover, and I expect that.
Right. Well, hey, Kevin, as always, love having you on, man. I know you got some more recruiting coverage as it never stops for you, it seems like, and continue with your great coverage. By the way, I liked your one-on-one with Jalen this past weekend. Have a blessed Thanksgiving holiday, and, thanks for taking time out here on the Hill.
Pat, happy holidays to you too. Thank you. Always great to be with you, my friend.
All right, my man. That was Kevin McPherson of Hogville.net giving us the 411 on just his thoughts on the 6-0 start of the Must Bus and the Razorbacks, and also to the recruiting front. I'm talking about they're tearing it up. But real quick before we get out of here, I want to make a note that we will not be having a show the remainder of the week, as I will be traveling to Texas for family holidays, as well as Demetrius will be en route. Now, Demetrius will be on coverage. We always got to bring him to you. Even when we ain't here, we are there. He'll be at the Arkansas game. I know he's got some prior obligations. I do too. We're going to try to make it down and bring you all the coverage of the borderline battle for borderline battle or something like that. Hopefully they can get their 3rd win. Want to wish everyone from myself and Demetrius here from On the Hill a great Thanksgiving holiday. Eat as much as you can, but be careful if you're traveling the highways or byways. Make sure to travel safety, as I believe there's going to be a little rain taking place over the weekend. But we'll be back, and it's in our full schedule now. Monday, we got to say, hey, it's a full 1 o'clock show. You get that? Yeah, we'll be back Monday at 1. I'm telling you. But that's going to wrap it up. We're going to get out of here and have a great holiday. From myself to you all, Demetrius. It's been On the Hill. I want to give a shout out to Lindsay and Associates. Lindsay and Associates. And did I say that twice? I'm just happy about Lindsay and Associates, ain't it? But Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. Locomotion, just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. KDK's Chicken, located at 989 Razorback Road, and Corey Beck's Custom Painting. That's going to do it for us. Have a great holiday. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You guys have a blessed one, and let's get it.